what shifted that perspective for me is a few months ago, I went through something that completely changed my life. But it was a moment that, where I genuinely didn't know if I'd make it. I had a 30% chance of living.
Oh, wow.
And coming close to almost like losing everything made me see life differently, if that makes sense. And it almost like it stripped away the noise and it reminded me what truly matters for me. And I feel like it deepened my faith and my gratitude. And I realized that I obviously have a higher purpose. And that's when the click or the shift happened. I felt like my saving grace was dancing and listening to uplifting music. And that really pulled me out of my depression when I was growing up as a kid, because I had no answers and I couldn't ask anybody for help. I didn't have the tools to assist me either that we have now. And that's what I resorted to. When you said you were bullied in school, I can relate to that. I was teased and bullied. I'd get ripped off about my name and people would tease me about that. I would get teased about my weight and my dressing. Yeah.
Your name. It's a beautiful name. What the hell?
Thank you. Yeah, no, thank you so much. And the interesting part is my name. I probably could tell or could see the woman I've become now. Like, especially with my determination and my ambition and never willing to give up, even with all the obstacles that I faced. Being resilient, like you said earlier on. And just that inner voice that always told me that I will always rise above. Now, that's allowed me to connect with others and lead with compassion, if that makes sense.
Hi, guys. Before we dive into today's episode, I've got a quick favor to ask. If you've been enjoying the conversations here on Zen Now, whether it's helped you reflect, grow, or just feel a little bit more seen, take a second to hit that subscribe or follow button on whatever platform you're listening on. Subscribing means you won't miss a single episode, and it also helps more people discover the show, people who might really need these kind of real and honest conversations. And if you're feeling extra generous, leave a quick rating or review. It honestly makes a huge difference and keeps the podcast going strong. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another podcast of Zen Now. Today, I'm joined by Veenaa Katha-Khan, CEO of SocialNV and host of another amazing podcast called the High Vibe Club. She's all about raising your frequency, unlocking your power, and creating a life that feels good as it looks. Veenaa's journey hasn't been easy at all, but her journey and energy and resilience are next level. So let's dive in. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Kishen. How's it going? How was your day?
Oh, it's just starting for me.
Yeah?
Up here in Canada, it's about 7:30, so early start.
Well, good morning.
Good afternoon to you.
Yeah, thank you.
So Veenaa, before we begin, getting into the current state of things, can you just take us back to who Veenaa is and, just a bit of your upbringing? And if people don't know who Veenaa is, can you just give us a little bit of context?
Yeah. So I think let's go back to the upbringing. So who Veena was as a little girl. I was this very shy young girl, still am. Believe it or not, I don't think anyone will believe that, but very shy, very creative, very sensitive young girl. Loved playing with Barbie dolls, loved playing with hair, extremely creative, but also quite the tomboy. So I loved riding my bike. I loved jumping off walls. I loved playing soccer. So I was like a bit of a crazy child, but very shy, very motherly, very loving, warm, and affectionate, and a bit of a daydreamer.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. So I think if I think about who I am now, a bit of a daydreamer. I think my husband calls me a bit crazy, or a little delusional, because I've got these like wild dreams and goals, and I believe that I will get it and I'll achieve it. Like, I don't believe anyone will tell me no, I can't have anything. So that's the attitude I have towards life. So my childhood, if I go back to my home environment, I had a mom that had a very strong personality, and that brought about a lot of love, but also up and down emotions. And then I had an extremely strict dad who did not like confrontation. So you can imagine growing up in a Hindu home. Any issues you had, you weren't allowed to really talk about it. And it created an environment where we were quite afraid to talk about our feelings. So we just swept it under the rug. And
Bottle
I
it
think
up.
it's so typical when you talk about different cultures. I think we can all relate.
Yeah.
So, if I think about what I learned in my home environment and some of the issues that I had growing up, I kind of learned to be very independent. And I somehow gained this like inner strength, um, becoming quite emotionally intelligent in my childhood, being very calm under pressure. And I think that those traits, I think they still shape who I am today, if
Mhm.
that makes sense.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
I'm shy, but I've also, I'm still very calm and work well under pressure. I thrive under pressure, but I think that's a bit of a trauma trait. But yeah, just a child that went through a lot and had to grow up very quickly.
Yeah, I think one word that comes to mind when you're speaking is resilient.
Definitely, definitely.
Yeah, that comes
Yeah.
across quite clearly, and I think I myself understand that Indian home dynamic very much so. uh, no fault of our parents or grandparents whatsoever. It's just how I think society was conditioned. Our societies were conditioned. I'm not speaking for everybody else. I'm just speaking from our own experiences and culture. But yeah, I think it's important now that we bring this up to the surface so that we get awareness going, and the next generation start to become more aware of their feelings and not be afraid to confront is a bit of a very hard word, but I think just I would say approach their parents or caregivers to say, hey, this is what's going on, this is how I'm feeling, and not feel judged when they do feel so.
And not ashamed or embarrassed. We're always afraid to speak up. And speaking up doesn't mean that we've got to be rude and get aggressive and insult and scream and shout. We can actually have really decent conversations, provided that the other person or other people are open to listening.
Yeah, receptive.
And I think yeah, exactly. And I think that's what I struggled with for many years. Like, my issues that I had, especially towards my mother. Um, I struggled because she wasn't open to listening. Um, now when I think back, it wasn't that she wasn't open to it. I think she was afraid. She was just afraid because maybe she wasn't sure how to respond.
Yeah, I think the love was there. It's just
Yeah, definitely.
probably didn't want to come across as too soft or too hard, and they kind of had to find the balance in between it. They weren't taught how to do that, so it was new
Yeah.
to them as well. I guess we
And
felt the
they
brunt of it.
first time parents, right? So I have to
Yeah,
give both of them mercy. Like they were trying to figure out how to be parents, and I'm not sure how my late grandparents were towards them when they were growing up, because our parents they're not comfortable speaking about their childhood, whether it was good or bad. They almost feel a guilt to speak about it. If there were any issues, they had to overlook it
yeah,
out
for
of
sure.
respect for your elders. And I mean, I don't question the respect, but I do think it's so important to, speak about what you're going through.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there. I think I something I'd like to share is my mom listened to one of my podcasts the other day, and I think it resonated with her in some way. And I just asked a simple question, Mom, are you okay? Is there something that, that you want to express? And didn't in a way. And I respected that because I understand it's not easy. But I just felt there was something there that she wanted to express, but didn't know how to say it
Mm.
in a way. So there's deep trauma in all of our parents and siblings and whoever and anybody that we come across. And we also just can't push the narrative of everyone, hey, go and express how you feel. It's okay. And X, Y, and Z. It also has to come from within yourself to
Yeah,
be
I don't,
brave enough
yeah.
to say. hey, this is what's going on.
Yeah. Look, I don't think it's fair to put pressure on them to speak about it. We've got to meet them where they are in their lives, and we've got to allow it and just organically allow it to happen. We can't force it.
Yeah. Uh, Going back to the early signs of the woman that you are now, did you see yourself in your early years of that girl right now?
Definitely.
Yeah.
I think when I look back, I probably could tell or could see the woman I've become now. Like, especially with my determination and my ambition and just never wanting to give up, even with all the obstacles that I faced, being resilient, like you said earlier on, and just that inner voice that always told me that I will always rise above any obstacle. And I think that's been one of my biggest strengths, not allowing myself to be succumbed by my weakness, but just not giving up. And I think now that's allowed me to connect with others and lead with compassion, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Uh, you were the eldest of three siblings,
Go.
correct?
Yes, yes.
Got it. Did you take on that role of a mother figure for the other two siblings?
Without a doubt. I think
Okay.
when there was disturbances in our home, when I say disturbances, I mean just like arguments between my parents or arguments between us kids and our parents and what have you. Um, I always felt the need to protect my sisters because they were much younger than me. There's quite a big age gap, 4 years between my middle sister and myself, and 7 years between the baby and I.
Okay.
So I always felt like I needed to protect them because I did not want them to pick up on the conversations that were happening between my parents or between myself and my parents. So I took on a motherly role, and I had to grow up very quickly.
Do you remember, at what age you felt like, okay, this is kind of my responsibility now?
I think probably around my teenage years, 12, 13.
Sure, that's you're still becoming,
Yeah, no, still trying to figure out life.
yeah, and now you've got to take on this role. It must have been a
Yeah,
lot.
yeah. No, definitely, definitely. But you know what? I think because I'm such a softie at heart. Like, I'm tough, but I'm also soft. Like and I've got so much love. I'm a very affectionate person. I felt that I needed to just take on that role without anyone asking me or learning about it or figuring it out. I just felt like I needed to be there for my siblings.
Right, right. Yeah, I think my eldest sister is kind of the same
Yeah.
for the three of us. I'm the youngest boy of two other girls. They're elder than me. 5 year gap. Growing up as a young boy, and the first grandson in the family, I think I was spoiled, and I think I got most of the affection from most of the aunts, uncles, and everybody around us. And I think my sisters didn't get that much of the attention. Looking back in hindsight, and I feel that it probably did play a part in them also, like being the the adults quicker than what I became when I became that. So I understand exactly where you're coming from.
Yeah. I think only first kids or first daughters or first sons will understand exactly where we're coming from. To be like the first child out of 3 or 4 or even 2, it's very hard. It comes with a lot of responsibilities, like the pressure that we have. We've got to figure out life on our own because our parents are figuring out life. And then if you've got working parents, it's even harder because you've got to just go with the flow and keep yourself busy. And if you've got siblings, you've got to take care of them while your parents are at work, or there's just, yeah, again, a lot of responsibilities that comes with it.
Right. And I'm sure during that period, you've experienced some, very challenging times. Do you mind like sharing, some of those moments and how it shaped your perspective or shifted it now?
I think the challenges that I experienced as a young girl, and even in becoming a young lady, and then also into my adulthood, it was really tough because I couldn't understand why I had all these challenges. And I don't want to go into too much detail because I'll have to sit here for another couple of hours. But
That's okay. We can talk forever.
I think, how can I say it? I think the challenge is kind of like made me a stronger person. And, when I think about my challenges, it wasn't only like the struggle at home. My mom and I haven't always had the best relationship. It was always quite rocky. And I think because we both have such strong personalities that we clashed a lot. And my mom was always like, and I think this is a typical Indian thing, but my mom always worried about what are the people going to say if you look this way, or if you're not doing well in school, or you're not a lawyer, a doctor, a chartered accountant, whatever, that people
Narrative.
won't respect you.
Yeah.
Right? That narrative. And, eventually I decided like, I can't worry about what other people think about me. I've got to make myself happy. And what shifted that perspective for me is a few months ago, I went through something that completely changed my life. I obviously can't share too much about it at the moment because there's an ongoing investigation. But it was a moment that, where I genuinely didn't know if I'd make it. I had a 30% chance of living. And coming close to almost like losing everything made me see life differently, if that makes sense. And it almost like it stripped away the noise, and it reminded me what truly matters for me. And I feel like it deepened my faith and my gratitude. And I realized that I obviously have a higher purpose. And that's when the click or the shift happened.
It's
And
like
I
a penny
thought,
dropped.
wow. Yeah, I thought like everything I went through, wow, it's actually tiny in the bigger scheme of things.
No,
In life.
I don't think you should discount it as tiny, because I
Yeah,
think that's that's how we speak about those. It's how we speak about it, or how we express it.
true.
If we
True.
see it as tiny, it's going to be, it seems as it's nothing. But your own personal journey is your own level of where it is, and nobody can
No,
take that
true,
away from you.
definitely.
If you get what I'm saying.
No, 100%. And maybe let me reword that. Maybe not tiny, but they were smaller mountains and I was strong enough to climb them.
Yeah, it's how we speak about us. Yeah.
No, I agree. Definitely. I appreciate that.
No, because we always just like tend to say, it's nothing, it's okay. No, it's not a big deal. But sometimes it is, and it should be said so. And it should be, uh, how you say, it should be narrated as such.
Definitely.
Yeah,
I agree.
and like you
I can't
said,
argue with that.
what people will say. There's actually, if you haven't seen this movie before, I think it's a Norwegian movie, but
Yeah.
it's called, I think it's What People Say, or People Will Say. It's about a Pakistani family growing up or living in the Nordic regions. And obviously, they still have old school practices and culture, religion, and whatever else. And obviously, the young daughter grows up in the Nordic culture, so she that's all she knows, and so she has to battle between the two. And eventually, just long story short, it comes back to what you were saying, how things were perceived back in our homes. What would people say if X, Y, and Z happens? If you get a chance to watch it, it's a very heartfelt, it's very strong, I would say. It's a very strong message to come across. But whoever's listening out there, if you want to like listen or watch the movie, check it out. I'll leave a link in the description below to.
Yeah, I'd love that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. It's just, I just thought about it when you said, what would people say? And I remember that movie.
Yeah. I think anyone that listens to this podcast will probably think back about, oh my goodness, that's how we were brought up, eh? Like, what will people say? What will people do if we don't live up to X, Y, and Z standards,
Yeah.
But as you get older, you realize, like, oh my goodness, actually, it's none of my business what people think and say about me anyway, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be judgment. There's always going to be
Yeah,
criticism. There's
of
always going to
course.
be people judging your every move, your every word. Hence why you got to stand in your own power and say, it's okay. What I am presenting or resonating is coming from within. And
Exactly. And
whether it
also
be
from
from
a
a
good
higher
place.
purpose,
Yeah.
exactly. And it's not about being boastful. It's nothing
Mm-mm.
about that. Because it comes from pure intentions. There's nothing that can take that away from you.
Definitely. Over the years, I've always lived by wanting to create good karma. Like just be good and do good, and that is it. And try and be mindful, like not gossip or talk about people. Try not to judge. Yes, I'm human. I'm not perfect, and sometimes I might just innocently criticize someone, but try not to harm someone or have an intention of harming someone. Because yes, we might say something and it might hurt someone's feelings, but as long as it wasn't done with any ill intentions, I know I'm okay. I'm still, trying to be a better person.
And that's all that we can ask from ourselves. We're on this planet for a very short time. And we got to make the most
Definitely.
of it. And the more we are concerned about what external noise is, the less we live. That
Yeah,
makes sense.
I agree. It does. It does. It makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
There's moments in life when we feel like, also there's times when it gets too challenging and we want to give up. Whether did you have those moments, and how did you overcome them?
Gosh, absolutely. There were so many moments where everything for me felt like so heavy. Like I honestly felt like, gosh, like enough now. Can I give up? But I think what kept me going was my belief that it's not the end of my story. Like I can't give up. And I think, I'm not religious. I'm more spiritual. But when I say spiritual, it's not like I'm into gurus and into like meditating every day, all day. I just have a lot of faith in God and in myself, and in the idea that there was more, I think, waiting for me. Like I've always believed that I've got this really big, bright future. And I reminded myself that I've survived like so many dark days before that I could survive this too, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And that was it. Just the constant reminder that, hey, I've had many obstacles and dark days, but I'm a survivor. I'm not giving up.
You believe in the universe provides
Definitely.
when it's supposed to.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. And that's why I'm like so mindful with my thoughts as well. Like I always try to be positive and I always try and look at the good and the positive instead of looking at the bad.
Yeah,
Like for me, a bad is just like a minor detour setback
yeah,
and a
yeah.
choice.
Certain challenges we face,
Of course.
we have to navigate the storm and to get to that
Yeah.
light, and that's the only way through. So, I'll share with you something that I went through as a kid growing up. So when I left primary school, obviously then transitioned into high school. Uh, you're coming into your own. You're becoming somewhat of a little man, so to speak. And I think all of us in that environment are going through the same thing. And just
Yeah. It's
unfortunate,
overwhelming.
yeah, and unfortunately, I was on the end of quite a lot of bullying throughout my high school years. And there were days when I felt I couldn't do this. I couldn't go to school anymore. But thankfully, I had sports to fall back on, which kept me going. And that's why I had
Your
something to look
therapy.
forward to. Yeah, I had something to look forward to. And
Yeah.
just that's how I expressed myself. I didn't have words. I kind
Yeah.
of did it with action in terms of how I express myself. So I take it out on the field. And that's where I think
Anger.
my mental resilience kind of kicked in. Because if I didn't have that, yeah, kind of looking back now, it would have been a very challenging 4 or 5 years for me. And I don't know if I had the willpower to navigate it. However, if I look now at it, I say, okay, thank you for that journey of that part of my life, because it taught me a lesson And that's what it is now. Every moment that we are faced with, there's a lesson in it.
Definitely. There's always a lesson in it. And I feel like if we don't learn the lesson, it repeats and there's a pattern until we learn that lesson.
Yeah. That's where generational traumas kind of like keep happening. And you have to be very brave to break that cycle. It's a very lonely road. I'm going to be honest. It's very tough. It's very challenging.
You lose everything. You end up losing everything. You end up losing the people that you love, that love you, in order to break that. And it's not easy, but I think the rebirth is so rewarding. And eventually, like, you'll notice, like, those that left you and that are not meant to come back, it is a blessing. And those that come back, I think there's a stronger love towards them, and a stronger respect. So, yeah, it's always dark before you see the light.
Yeah. I always call it seasonal as relationships.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. No, it's, we always think about how we can always improve ourselves. And some days we get frustrated. I get frustrated because sometimes I'm not seeing the progression, but it's a moment. Before it'll be elongated. That moment would prolong itself. Now it's more about, okay, it's a small moment, but then I realize my why. Why am I doing this? And thankfully, with traditional therapy and holistic practices, both of those helped quite a bit. I've gained some of the tools and knowledge to understand, okay, life is not perfect, but come back to your why. Come back to why is it that you're doing something? So I think both go hand in hand. And whoever is like kind of apprehensive of trying traditional therapy, I would say just try and give it a shot. You never know, it might help with holistic practices as well.
No, definitely. Look, for me, I struggled with traditional therapy and those type of options. I felt like my saving grace was dancing and listening to uplifting music, and that really pulled me out of my depression when I was growing up as a kid, because I had no answers and I couldn't ask anybody for help. I didn't have the tools to assist me either that we have now. And that's what I resorted to. And it was life-changing for me. It changed the chemical in my brain.
Yeah.
And the chemistry in my brain. And that's what helped me actually get through all of that. Because, when you said you were bullied in school, I can relate to that. I was teased and bullied. I'd get ripped off about my name and people would tease me about that. I would get teased about my weight and my dressing. Yeah.
The name. It's a beautiful name. What the hell?
Thank you. Yeah, no, thank you so much. And the interesting part is my name is a musical instrument. And how's that, right? Isn't it amazing, the Veena? Isn't it amazing that music is what actually helped me through everything I was going through at that time? And if you look at the link with my name and music and, the happiness it brought to me, like I always questioned, like as a kid, like, why did my parents give me the name Veena? Like I just had so many people teasing me and bullying me about it. And now when I think about it, I'm like, oh my God, I have such a beautiful name. It describes who I am.
Yeah, exactly.
It's me, right?
Yeah.
So no, it's just crazy. It's crazy. But I'm not against traditional.
For sure. No, everybody has their own.
Please don't ever think, I'm not against it. It just didn't work for me when I did try it and I had the option of going for it. But yeah, I think it's just so important to be open to it, whether it's holistic or traditional or any form of therapy, that you have to be open to it.
Yeah. Just a small caveat, guys. We're not speaking as professionals. We're just speaking from our own perspective. Don't quote us on anything. We don't want to offend anybody who is in the professional space. It's just we're speaking from our own experiences. So take it as it is.
Yeah.
Now you talk about music, and I'm the same as well. Just last night, through all the, through the tough days that we've been going through. And I then also, I kind of like sprained my back a little bit, but
Oh, yeah.
I have to keep going because I have to also take care of my wife. But then I just put on some music, and somehow, like you said, there's a chemical in your brain that shifts, and you just start moving and you feel better. And I think music like that was for me as well. I think growing up, if I didn't have music, it also would have been a very different scenario.
Me
Music
too.
is, yeah, especially I love EDM. Like I love techno, I love trance, I love all of those things. Don't, and it's just something about it that just brings you back to norm, and to
Definitely.
say
It's
everything will be
therapy.
okay. Yeah,
It
exactly.
really is therapy. It definitely does. It just does something to your mind and your body that it's just difficult to put into words and explain,
Yeah,
but it's just uplifting and you feel
right,
good about yourself.
right.
And it almost takes you on a journey, like you forget about all your problems.
Yeah, exactly. It's like your body doesn't tell you, oh, you're in pain. No, it's not at all. You'll be like, oh, I'm moving,
Yeah,
I'm okay, my head is moving, my body is
exactly.
moving. Cool,
Yeah,
I'm okay.
definitely. Yeah, yeah.
uh, in this day and age, say you're going through a tough day. I know music is one part of the element that helps you along. Is there anything else that helps you, get through a challenging day or even a good day that's a non-negotiable?
Exercise. I have to move my body and I have to be in nature. I love being around trees and grass and going for walks. I mean, every day I try and incorporate into my daily routine and a 1 hour walk. If I can't do it, obviously on the promenade here in Cape Town or in a forest, I'm on a treadmill, but it kind of just helps me release any stress that I had the day before. And I feel for me personally, it's just like, it's a detox and it's a release. And you feel so great afterwards when you're done with it. Just movement. It does wonders for the soul. And then you've got your music as well, and you incorporate the two. And by the time you're done and you start your day, yeah, you can accomplish anything with all
Yeah,
that energy.
I feel like something's missing if I don't exercise.
Yeah, same.
Even if it's like you said, it's a 1 hour walk or something.
Mm,
Thankfully,
mm.
we have a similar promenade in Toronto, the lake shore. We've got a beautiful lake that we can
That is
walk
nice.
along, and nature is
Yeah.
part of it as well with the water. Water is very
Oof,
serenading. Sorry.
definitely.
You
Yeah.
just sit with your thoughts, and it's just, you sit there even just 10 minutes, just to let everything settle. Because sometimes growing up in South Africa, Johannesburg, it's a crazy
It's not
hustle.
safe. No, definitely.
Uh, I mean, growing
You've
up,
always
we
got,
were
yeah,
in Indonesia. We had to travel so far just to get to wherever we wanted to go, and return home. You kind of realize that that's not how life should have been. You know, our parents had went through apartheid and all of that. It couldn't have been easy either, because segregation was never easy. And now
of
that we
course
look,
not.
thankfully for their sacrifices and all the sacrifices that they made, allowed us to now fulfill our dreams as well right now. And in Canada, I've met so many uh, people who've come across in the 60s and 70s that have come across here. Obviously, they fled South Africa's political reasons and whatever else. And they tell us stories of how challenging it was for them when they came over. So, and then you look back at our parents who also then were in that environment and trying to navigate the uncertainties and dangers. I think I'm very humble and very grateful for each and every one of them that have guided us and protected us so that we can sit here on this podcast today and share it. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this short break.
And that's what it is. Hey, gratitude. Like, if you think about it, like, how grateful are we? Because look at the lives that we live. And it's just, yeah, I think, like, going back to my walks, like just looking at the ocean and what God has created. and the opportunities my parents have given me, even with my fairly toxic upbringing, and the challenges I had with my mom specifically. Wow, I've got so much to be grateful for, you know? So yeah, I think it's also something that I love to incorporate into my day, to remind myself what I have, what I do have, what I've accomplished, what I can be proud of, what I have. I've got a beautiful roof over my head. I've got a beautiful relationship. I've got beautiful friendships. I've got beautiful relationships now with my parents and my siblings. So yeah, life is amazing.
Speaking of podcasts, you've created your own called the High
Yes.
Vibe Club. What inspired that?
I think because, my daily routine, like every morning when I wake up, I'm just this crazy person. I put music on and I start dancing and I'm singing and I get my energy, my frequency really high and up. And that's how I start my day. And I thought that I would love to remind people that they can heighten their vibration as well. And they're just like small tools that they can incorporate into their daily lives to do that, to shift their mindset, to get like their energy going, to be excited about life, to wake up and think like, hi, okay, it's Monday. This could potentially be my favorite day of the week because I'm excited about life. I don't have to focus on my struggles. I've got a roof over my head. And I thought I'd like to incorporate what I went through in my childhood and then take people through the journey of where I am today and how amazing life can be and how people that have possibly gone through something similar, where their lives could actually go if they change their mindset and they become more positive about life instead of looking at the bad. And also just pulling yourself out of victim mentality, you know, and making excuses for people, making excuses for ourselves, and actually just changing the narrative of our future.
It's therapy for yourself as well, right?
Definitely, definitely, of
Yeah,
course.
that's how I feel
Of course.
doing these.
Same. Yeah. No,
No,
I
you're right.
love it. I love it because it allows us to speak about things that so many people are afraid of, especially in our culture. And I'm sorry I'm bringing up culture all the time,
No,
but
no, no,
gosh, I feel
please.
like we are so afraid to talk about it, to talk about what we've been through, what we allowed to say, what we're not allowed to say in our cultures, how we are supposed to live our lives. But I think it's so important that we talk about it. And it's not that we're disrespecting our culture. I love my culture. I love being a Hindu. It's a beautiful culture, but it's important to talk about the dark side of it
Exactly.
as well.
Exactly. I think
Yeah.
about all the people that we've lost through suicide because
Oof.
something got too heavy. And I mean, I myself was there at one point in time as well. Didn't actually, have any plans to do it, just the thought of it. But that's also a very scary
Desperation.
place to be. Yeah.
Very.
It's a very
Yeah.
dark place to be. And if
Yeah.
whoever's in that moment right now, remember just, uh, I understand it's very difficult or challenging right now, but think of everything that you've been through to get to the stage right now, how resilient you are. There's yes, you might not see the light right now. However, there is something to live for. There's always ways out. And sometimes the only way out is the truth, whether it be the darkest truth or the lightest truth. And I had to learn that. I had to sit with myself and ask myself, what is the truth? It was very dark. I had to confront it head on, you know, like a bull seeing a red cape. I had to go, I had to charge. If I didn't, the, I don't think I would be sitting here today. But it comes from
Yeah.
a mindset shift in yourself, and actually coming out of the mental institution. I realized, okay, I have a higher purpose, and I saw that a lot of people would say, "Oh, you're crazy, you're mad, you went to the you went to a mad hospital," but I saw it as a time for me to reflect and use it as a learning experience now to share my story so that whoever is going through something similar, like you said in your podcast, they can resonate with it. And, truth be told, like I've been doing this now for close to a year. So many people have reached out and said, "Thank you for sharing. I've been going through a similar uh, thing in my life, and I didn't know that somebody so close has gone through the same thing." And that's where my purpose is. We all can resonate with celebrities or somebody on a higher level on that way, but it's the people that are closest to us that have a deeper connection. When you say, "Hey, I know that person," and if he's gone through it and he's come through it, I can do the same.
And what strength that takes to actually like face your fears and face those issues and look for help and ask for help. It's daunting. It's so scary. I think about going back as well when I went through my depression. It was mild depression. I mean, I never considered suicide or anything, but I think if I didn't have a strong mindset, who knows what could have happened? It's so difficult to say because as a kid, you've got so many questions. You're always asking, like, why me? Why do I have to go through all of this? Like, I'm innocent, I'm never asked to be here. And it's so easy to go down that deep hole and not want to come out again. But then you think, like, I'm not going to give up. And then, again, it's just something that just clicks. You either listen to something or read something or speak to someone, and you realize that I've got that strength. I can get through this. It's going to be hard, but I can do it.
Yeah.
And that's what helps. And yes, again, even with my podcast, and I've had so many people message me as well and say they can relate and thank you for sharing your story. And wow, you've worn your trauma so well. We'd never say you've been through all of this, And I'd like to say that it gives people hope. You can be happy. Even if you've
Exactly.
had a bad past, you can still be happy.
Yeah,
But it's
life's
in
not
your
perfect.
hands, right? It's in
Exactly.
your hands, right? You allow yourself to be happy or not.
Exactly. Everyone has a choice. We choose which
Yeah.
path we want to
We've
go down
always
on.
got a choice.
It's like
Yeah.
the Wizard
And
of Oz.
something, exactly. And something my husband actually said to me one day, and he just clicked. He says, we're always going to have obstacles in life, but you can choose your battles.
Yeah, for
And I
sure.
promise you, I live by that because we're always going to have issues and battles and obstacles, but I have a choice. I can choose which one I want to face, And that's what I'd love people to actually think about is
Yeah.
pick your battles.
It's all about balance, right? As well.
Definitely.
And
Definitely.
as a CEO, a leader, how do you manage to balance the business side with personal life?
I'm going to contradict myself and say that I'm not sure if there is balance. um, can we balance stuff? Because, oh my goodness, I'm not sure. I struggle with balance, but I feel like my business is almost an extension of my purpose. And I feel like when I'm aligned personally, then like professionally, everything flows better, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I try not to like split the two. I try and incorporate them together. And I think I've learned to approach my leadership with a lot of empathy and being authentic, which was so hard. Like being authentic is really hard. People judge you. It's actually scary not trying to be like someone else, But I just realized that like if you're authentic, that's where your real success comes into play. And I try to live with that. And also my journey through childhood and working in corporate, being authentic, having compassion, having empathy. I think not giving up, being resilient. That is how I almost balance everything out.
We'll call it the pendulum of life.
I think so. Let's call it that.
Because it's always swaying to and fro. It's never going to be balanced at all.
Yeah, no, I struggle with balance.
Yeah.
But fortunately, the last 2 years, I have been blessed to be able to pull myself out of corporate and work on ad hoc basis and consult and take a bit of a break, and just focus on myself, my well-being, high vibe club, and all those things. Yeah, I think just like not being in corporate anymore has really done wonders for my mental health. Because, actually growing up in a home where there's a bit of, I'm going off track now.
That's okay.
Growing up in a home where there's a bit of trauma, and a bit of toxicity, you seem to thrive in a lot of chaos, and you become a workaholic. Not everybody, but I use myself as an example. I became a workaholic. So all I did was eat, sleep, and work, and send emails at 2 a.m., be stressed out, become a perfectionist. And 2 years ago, I decided, right, that's it. I'm done now. I'm not going to give up working, but I've got to take care of my mental health, because how do I look after myself? How do I be a good person, a good leader, a good wife, a good daughter, a good sister to the people around me if I'm not happy with who I am?
Yeah, exactly.
And taking that break and pulling myself out of corporate was, oh my God, it was so scary, because I felt lost. Like for an entire year, I thought wow, am I losing myself? Being in a stable environment is actually so odd for me, because I'm used to chaos.
Chaos, yeah.
Yeah, and that's where the evolution happens. And that's where I found my growth. Like I really grew. I really got to know myself better. I focused on loving myself better. I focused on being happy.
Self-worth. You focused on
Huh?
self
It
yourself. You focused on
definitely.
self-worth.
Yes, I focused on self-worth, and it was damn hard, because oh my God, how do I love myself? Where do I
I think that's
start?
the question. A lot of people ask
Right?
that question as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
how do I love myself? And I had to confront so many things. I had to speak to my younger self and talk to her. I had to confront the people that hurt me, in my mind, confront them and have those really tough conversations in order for me to actually evolve as a leader,
Excuse
as a
me.
human, um, as a person that is just here to, or as a person that just wants to grow and help others evolve. So yeah, it was definitely life changing. So again, going back, difficult to balance everything.
Yeah. Say whoever's listening to this and is wanting to listen to the podcast, it's amazing. I've listened to it. Some of the things she's shared has resonated with me as well, not just from a female perspective, from a male perspective as well. So it's an awesome podcast. Check it out. Uh,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Anything we can do just to we also have to help others as well. Like you said, it's just not Zen and Now is not only about me. It's more about the other person on the other side. It's more about your story, how you wanting to share what's going on in your life, and how can I help you just ease that, that little bit of tension, so to speak. And I think, like we say in therapy, you go and talk for an hour. It's similar. It's just kind of shedding the weight little by little.
And giving people a sense of home that have come from broken homes, like giving them that comfort that, I can resonate with people that have gone through similar experiences in life, but I feel at home. I feel at peace.
Yeah. 10 years ago, if you see the Veena 10 years ago compared to Veena now, would you ever have thought, okay, this is where I'll be in my life?
I'm not sure 10 years ago, actually, yes. Maybe younger, no, but 10 years ago, hell yes. And I think what I'd say without getting emotional or anything, what I'd probably love to tell my younger self is that you made it. You made it. And I would tell her that we're still making it. And even though you couldn't see your future and you thought that you were a complete failure, look at you now. You are living your dream life. And I hope that it gives other people hope that, they might have, or they're unable to see what the future holds, but there's always light at the end of the tunnel. And then That's going back to childhood, right? My younger self. 10 years ago, I went through a divorce, and it wasn't a great experience. It was just two good people not good together. My ex-husband is one of the nicest human beings you'll ever meet, but our personalities just clashed. Had different visions and different goals for our futures, and it just wasn't going to work out. You know, it made me realize that I can't continue the relationship because it's just not fair to him. He could one day potentially find someone that really values and appreciates him. And here's me that doesn't value and appreciate him because we are going in different directions. And I had to make a choice, and I decided to get divorced. And in that divorce, I lost everything. I lost my family. I lost friends. My world completely turned upside down, and I lost everything.
My question is to you,
Yeah.
why does that happen? Why do we lose in that instance? Why do we lose the people that were supposed to be there for us? Why do you think that is? Because that's a question not a lot of people ask. Why do you
Oof.
think, or does it come back to that? What will people say?
Without getting into trouble, I think because divorce has such a negative connotation to it, uh, maybe families feel embarrassed. And again, yes, what are the people going to say? But it's more embarrassment of failure and being exposed to failure.
But isn't that what
And
family is supposed to do? Is when pick you up when you're down or when you're at your lowest? Isn't that supposed to be?
so here's the question. When we are we born together or are we born alone?
They were born alone, but
So that's what
but we are then hugged together, so to speak. When we are born, we are hugged. Then we
we're
form that.
born into a family.
Yeah.
Yeah. But when we are born, we're alone. When we pass on, we're alone. And in this world, we have to face all our problems, our obstacles alone. And I feel for me personally, my divorce, I had to learn that no one had my back. No disrespect to my family or whoever,
I'm
but
sorry
I
to hear
had to
that.
learn. It's okay. It's fine. It's fine. I've had beautiful conversations with my family about it. And shame, you know what I think? When I think back, I think it's more they weren't sure how to handle it. I think it was a shock because on the outside, when people looked at my lifestyle and my marriage, we looked like this perfect couple, right? We looked happy, we looked excited about life,
External
we
perception.
traveled a lot. So, yes, so I think my parents could not understand why I was choosing to get divorced, and they weren't sure how to respond to it. And I think that's where the problem lies, right? They weren't sure how to respond to it. And for me, yes, I lost everything, but it was such a blessing for me because there were so many lessons that I learned from the entire experience, right? I, again, going back to my childhood, I had to be strong and I needed to go and find that strength that I had as a kid, and I had to pull it out again and take care of myself. And I took all of that negativity and all that loss and I focused and I put it into work and my business.
Okay. Distractions.
And distractions. And that's where I pushed, and that's where my success came from. All of that.
Who did have your back? If I know you said you didn't have anybody. Was there somebody who had your back or nobody at all?
So, shame, my sisters, they were a bit confused. They couldn't understand exactly what was going on. But they were there for me.
Okay.
They were there to listen. They obviously weren't sure how to respond to all my emotions. They couldn't understand it, but they definitely had my back. So fortunately, I am blessed enough to have a beautiful bond with my siblings. Yeah, I think it was more with my parents because they couldn't understand it, especially my mom. She couldn't understand why I wanted to break off a relationship. And also, there was so much family involved, and she just couldn't understand why I needed this in my life. And it's amazing though, when you go through this and you choose your own happiness, how difficult it is. You actually end up losing so much just for your own happiness. And I needed to break at that point in order to rise again. And let me tell you, like going through all of that, like when I look at it now, I am so much more stronger, right? And stronger in a sense of I can actually have these conversations with my parents and we can speak about it. And I'm not afraid to speak about it anymore. And I think the great part about it is they are now open to listening and responding.
That's awesome.
And it took years for them to listen. Like my dad, not so much, because my dad and I have always had a close relationship, so it hasn't been too bad. But then even then, when I was going through that, I then met my now husband Ibrahim, and he had my back. He was there for me. Obviously, it was a couple of years after what I went through, but still, I didn't really have a relationship with my family. And when I met him, he had my back, and he was my sounding board. And he said to me, "Don't worry, things will get better," and that gave me hope.
Yeah, a simple thing like that just allows you to know that everything will be okay because it comes from a genuine part of themselves. It's
Yeah,
not faking it. Like you said, it always comes back
no,
to your truth.
definitely, definitely.
Yeah. No, kudos on you for managing that part of the journey. It can't be easy. In our family we have a couple of separations as well, and I look at my family members. I can't speak for the other side, and a lot of them have struggled, but they've also were resilient enough to choose themselves to say, "Hey, I can't do this anymore." And yeah, there was pushback. There was uh, angry reactions. Why, try and do this, try and do that, X, Y, and Z. But end of the days, the person that's experiencing it has the ultimate decision. It's their choice. You can't force them to do something that they don't want to do. And you have to
Definitely.
respect that in a way and just show them that you care, that what they're doing is okay. Things will
Yeah,
be okay. And that's how life
yeah.
is, right? And that's how that's how you met your now husband. If that didn't happen, you wouldn't be in this wonderful relationship
Probably
right now.
not.
So
Of
everything
course,
happens
definitely.
for that reason.
It does. And I think now when I look at it, yes, my mom didn't respond the way I needed her to respond. But I think everything she's done does come from a place of love. And I think it was fear. It was fear of, wow, here's my child. She had stability. She's now pulling herself out of this stable home and life. And she's going out into the world again on her own. What is going to happen to her? And also, again, back to our culture, is it's so difficult finding really good partners nowadays. What is going to happen to my child? Right? But would I have my child unhappy and depressed in a marriage that's not fulfilling for her? Or would I rather have my child, maybe not with anybody, with the potential of finding someone one day and being happy and just being content and happy and focused? What would the choice be, right?
Take box two.
I would choose the latter, right? I would choose my child being happy even though she's alone, but choosing herself, choosing who she wants to be, choosing her choices, choosing happiness, authenticity. So, all those things. So I think now my parents see it like, okay, I understand why she did it. It's like my parents were here a week and a half ago, and I had the conversation with my mom, and she said to me, now I see why you made these choices in life, and I see how happy you are.
Yeah.
And
In
I'm
that mo-
grateful for that.
In that
Yeah.
moment, they don't,
And,
it kind
yeah,
of don't
they
understand it.
don't. They're
But as
emotional, they're
time,
scared.
yeah,
Yeah.
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 No, I'm glad that everything now is kind of beautiful in a way.
Yeah.
The sun is shining, and that's all we want in life. That's all. We have to go through. Like we always talk about the dark, but when the light comes, we have to enjoy it.
The sun always shines.
Yeah. Like in Canada, most people think the perception is it snows all the time. Let me tell
Yeah.
you something. When that sun comes out, everybody's out.
Heaven. I can imagine, definitely.
uh, as we wind down the podcast, looking forward to the future. What inspires you, for the next chapter?
What inspires me? I would say, I don't know if I want to say what inspires me. I'd like to say maybe who inspires me, if you don't mind. And I'd like to say that people who choose light, even after the darkness, really inspire me. I think every story of resilience, every person who's transformed their pain into something beautiful, um, that inspires me the most. And honestly, I think even my own journey, that keeps me motivated. I've seen like what's possible when you choose growth.
Awesome. I love that. It's always the weird. Sometimes we ask what, but there's always people that inspire us as well. And I love that. So thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that.
Thank you. I mean, you inspire me. I mean, when our first conversation that we had, and you just gave me a snippet of your journey and where you've been and where you're coming from and what's formed out of all your pain. I think it's just so beautiful. Um, it's so beautiful to see how you've evolved, how you've grown, living in a different country, coming from Lenasia and starting a life with your beautiful wife and growing and stretching and being happy. And I watch your TikTok, seeing you at gym, and it is so inspiring. And you'll be amazed who watches it. And sometimes people don't, they silent, they don't share it, but you'll be amazed who feels inspired by that.
Actually, speaking of which, I had somebody reach out to me the other day on TikTok as well, and wants to do something similar, to have a conversation because uh, the energy that I project
Definitely.
kind of resonated, and I think that's how you're doing something nice, so you're doing something good, because that's when you feel okay. What I'm doing is making a difference.
It's rewarding, hey?
Yeah, yeah. It's not the
It is.
monetary gain or the fame of or
Oh.
whatever it is. It's those kind of small wins that you take to know that you're making a difference in somebody else's life.
And overcoming shame. Because, like, all our experiences, we are so ashamed of sharing it or so ashamed of thinking about it. And now, when you speak about it and you share what you've gone through and, you sharing your tools with people, it's just something you should be proud of.
Thank you. Yeah.
You're
It's
welcome.
selfless. It's selfless.
Oh, definitely.
It costs you
Definitely.
nothing. It costs nothing.
No, not at all. Yeah.
And I think that's where resonation comes from when you meet your tribe or you meet your people.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah, of course.
you'll know.
Yeah. You'll definitely know. You'll resonate with them. Hey?
Yeah. But it only comes from going through those experiences, because otherwise it's very difficult to see that light, or you won't see it until that penny drops. That's just from
Yeah.
my experience.
No, true. I think same on my side. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Uh,
Definitely.
one message you'd like to leave the listeners, before we wrap up.
I think no matter how heavy it feels right now, you can rise. And yeah, it's so typical of the High Vibe Club. You have the power to rewrite your story. Please don't ever forget that.
Amazing.
It is in your hands.
I love
When I
that.
look at past and I look at now, it's like I manifested this. I manifested my dream life. I wrote it into existence. So please don't give up and don't rush your healing. Take your
That
time.
the word of the day is manifestation.
Yes. My goodness. I'm obsessed with manifestation. I'm living proof. Yeah.
We
That
always
it
try and
exists.
we always try and take a lesson out of each discussion. And I think that's one of them that we'll take from this is manifest whatever you feel. Just put it out in the universe. You never know.
Exactly.
Yeah. And if people want to get in touch with you or your podcast, how can they do so?
Yes. So High Vibe Club is on Spotify. And then I am on TikTok under High Vibe Club. And then just my social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, but that is under Veenaa Katha-Khan. And yeah, hit me up, send me an inbox, a message. You want to have a conversation and chat, I'm always open to it.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, I think it's important to, again, I'm going to say, give people hope that there are others that are open to listening. Even if it's just listening, like I'm not a doctor, I'm not a psychologist, but I'm always open to listening to people. I don't necessarily have to respond or give them advice, but just allowing them to speak about what they're going through. It really does wonders for your body and your soul, and your mental health, just having someone to listen and not even say anything. And we don't often have people in our lives that are open to listening. So yeah, sometimes it's easier to talk to a stranger.
100%. No, thank you, Veena. I appreciate you taking the time out today. Share your journey, your story with us, manifesting good vibes, high vibe clubs, I would say. So thank you for sharing. And I think a lot of people would resonate with this. If it has, remember guys to, the drill, like, share and subscribe to the podcast and share it with somebody who might need it. It's just going to help the channel grow, and I can bring you a lot more amazing people like Veena again. And until the next one, guys, you know the drill. Stay zen. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Kishen.